Hey you guys, Erin here, back with another moon update for you. So first of all, I'm going to make a little apology. I did not manage to make a little video for our last new moon, which was in the sign of Cancer, nor did I do a write-up or anything like that. I actually had a little bit of a tragedy. I had to say goodbye to my beloved cat of 19 years. And this is the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is very interesting the way that this all worked out. So our last new moon was in the sign of Cancer, which is a very emotional and sensitive energy. In fact, my moon is in the sign of Cancer, conjunct Mars. So and not only that, but I have a very busy fourth house for those of you who know what that means, but I'm very in sync with this sign of Cancer, but it rules my eighth house, which is the house of death and rebirth. And so when I knew we were going to be having this new moon, that was going to transit through my eighth house, I had thought to myself, oh boy, what's this going to be about? And I had a sneaking suspicion because my cat's health was failing. He was an old man and spent most of his life outside, and he was a very independent cat, but boy, was he was just a sweetheart. But yeah, he happened to pass away just a few days before the new moon occurred. And realizing that this cat I had had for 19 years, this cat that was with me, I was married many years ago. I had this cat before I was married. He moved all over Santa Cruz with me. And he always did very well with those moves, but he was kind of like the last part of my old life, if that's what you want to call it. So it was like letting go of that part of me. It's a very transformational process. Look, I'm really tearing up right now. But it was really a death and rebirth process for me, losing my cat. So it was very powerful, and it's time to move on. But I just wanted to share that because that just shows how significant these moon transits really are. And I mean, this is time and time again. I notice something go down every single time we have, especially a powerful new moon or full moon. Oof, I definitely notice something significant happening in my life. So just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so for this moon transit, we are going to be talking about a full moon in the sign of Aquarius. Now, this is a very powerful one. Full moons, anytime we have a full moon, it's a time to embrace our growth that really is or associated with the energy of the sign in which it takes place. Okay, so this full moon is in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is this very unique energy. I love the sign of Aquarius. Both of my brother and sister are both Aquariuses, and I'm also very familiar with this energy. And it's very much associated with genius. This energy is ruled by Uranus and Saturn, which gives it this very, again, unique, but also it's a little bit rebellious. It's very progressive, but it's also this energy that cares deeply about humanity. It's the sign of humanitarianism. It's the sign of, this is the energy that really influences things like protests and riots on the streets, people who are, fighting for what they think is the right thing to do. And they're doing it for humanity. They're doing it for their fellow man. That's very Aquarius energy. And again, this genius energy, this energy is also very much, well, it's associated with like electricity. In fact, the symbol for the sign of Aquarius, I'll show you guys in a minute. It's the symbol of sort of like electrical energy being shot out. That's that very Uranus energy. So we're embracing our growth that we've experienced over the last 6 months since we had a new moon in the sign of Aquarius, which would be last February. How have we grown in these ways? Another kind of a superpower of this Aquarius energy is its ability to sort of like detach from emotions for the purpose of a higher understanding of truth. It's the sign of Aquarius. It's represented by the water bear. It's not a water sign. It's an air sign, which the air signs are very much associated with intellect, but this energy is about, it's the water bearer who carries the water. And in astrology, water is associated with emotions. Well, so this is perfect for me right now because I'm trying to detach from the emotional side of losing my cat. But this water bearer is basically, you can imagine, it's like she's carrying the emotions, and she's she transforms that water into pure information rather than emotions. And then she pours the water out. And I say this in all my Aquarius videos, water always finds its level and distributed evenly for all of humanity. So it's information that is being distributed evenly for everybody, for, again, to detach from the emotions and understand things for a higher level of truth. That's very Aquarian energy. Okay, so let me just go ahead and share my screen with you guys and show you what's going on with this full moon in Aquarius. Okay, so what we are looking at here is the zodiac for, this would be July 23rd, 2021 at 7:36 p.m. Pacific time. And again, this is something I always mention. It's a really good idea to pay attention to what time the actual celestial event occurs, because ideally, especially for new moons and full moons, we want to set our intentions. We want to pull out our journals before, like in the hours leading up to, or even the days leading up to the full moon. Pull out our journals and write down, what it is we're trying to manifest, or also to write down the gratitude for the energy that we have experienced growth in. That's really ideally what we want to do here. Okay, so, and another thing too, we all experience this as a collective. Everybody on earth gets to experience this full moon in the sign of Aquarius on July 23rd, well, at 7:36 for the Pacific time zone. But this is, again, as a collective. However, it is so incredibly important or beneficial to know where that sign of Aquarius is in your natal chart, so you can see which area of your life this is manifesting for you, which house in your natal chart. As I was just talking about, that last new moon was in my 8th house, the house of death and rebirth. So which house this full moon manifests for you? What area of your life have you experienced this Aquarian growth in? And that's why I offer these just 10-minute moon readings for $22. I mean, I offer several different packages of readings, but the moon readings for $22 can be, it's a game changer. It really is. We're working with magic here. And it's really about understanding that those lights in the sky have a huge influence on our every minute of every day of our life, and to work with them, to tap into that energy and work with it so we can use it to our greatest good, on the journey to our highest soul purpose. Okay. So this is the zodiac for, again, July 23rd, 7:36 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. So when we have a full moon, what happens is the moon, which is right here, and I'm so sorry, the moon is so hard to see on this, this software that I'm using. It's this little yellow thing right here that looks like the moon. And we can see it's at 1 degree. And this right here is the symbol for the sign of Aquarius. You might be able to see that symbol for Aquarius right here a little better. There's those like radio waves, okay? So 1 degree and 26 minutes Aquarius. What happens when we have a full moon is the sun and the moon are going to be exactly opposite each other, exactly on opposite sides of the zodiac. So here's the sun right here at 1 degree Leo. So this full moon takes place on the first day of Leo season. So this is the peak of that growth cycle. When we had the new moon in Aquarius, the sun and moon would be in the same spot in the sign of Aquarius. That would be 6 months ago, but now they're opposite each other. It's the peak of the growth cycle. So that's why it's so good to really, kind of take that moment to embrace that growth, to really understand the cycles that we're going through here, the moon phases, and working with them, that sort of thing. Now, something else I wanted to bring up here, this full moon is making it's making a trine, which is like a harmonious connection with something over here called Vesta, which is an asteroid that really kind of has a lot to do with our eternal flame, but it can also be kind of associated with purity and sexual energy. So this is in a harmonious flow, embracing our growth of that Aquarian energy. And remember, this can also be about detaching from emotions to understand things from a higher level. And how is that harmonious with your purity and with your sexual energy and with your eternal flame? That's something else we can take into consideration here. Also, that Vesta is also going to be making a sextile aspect with the sun, which is an opportunistic connection. So I see some lovely energies here. Just to throw some other things out there. Let's see, we've got Jupiter at 0 degrees Pisces. I've mentioned this in other videos. This is a spiritual energy that Jupiter can kind of be expanding the spirituality, the mysticism of that Piscean energy. Also, it really just depends on what's going on in your own natal chart, how this is affecting you as an individual. There may be potential for this to be kind of increasing people's confusion or sending them into a tendency to fall for a delusion, that sort of thing. So that's another reason it's really beneficial to get an astrology reading, because we've also got Neptune in Pisces over here at 22 degrees, and that's a very spiritual energy as well, highly mystical, but also can create some confusion for people. And for some people, so tragically that it even could send them into a state of psychosis, or needing to go to some sort of somehow to seek help to get themselves in a more grounded state. So again, it's really good to understand your natal chart and understand what's going on with you personally. Although Neptune it looks like it is trining Mercury here in Cancer. So that's actually a harmonious connection. Mercury in Cancer could be kind of bringing us to a more like conscious level of awareness with our sensitivities. And then we've got Pluto up here finishing up in Capricorn. We still got about 4 more years of Pluto in Capricorn, but that energy of these next 4 years is going to get real interesting, guys. We just might be seeing the fall of the house of the cards, if anybody knows what that means. And we've got Saturn right here in Aquarius, Saturn working comfortably in its own home in the sign of Aquarius, which is, I'm seeing this in one sense. There's a lot of different ways to describe this, but I am currently seeing this as like kind of bringing structure to the humanitarian groups. It's time for those humanitarian groups to get structured and to really use some skills, some constructive skills in the work that they're doing. We've still got Venus and Mars here. It looks like they won't be too terribly conjunct anymore. That was very interesting. We'll have experienced this Venus and Mars conjunction. Venus is sort of like the feminine side of sensuality and sexuality, and Mars is the masculine side of that. And when they're conjunct, it can create all kinds of interesting energies. It's, again, it really depends on what's going on in your own natal chart, but that can create, for some people, it can create a very sexual energy, especially when it was going through Leo, a very playful and fun and sexual energy. But also for some people, it could also be creating disturbances in their relationship and disturbances in their sexual energy and with their partner or even others, that sort of thing. So that's just something else I wanted to bring up. Okay, Chiron is still in Aries. I'm just throwing things out there so people understand that when I'm making these moon videos, where I'm generally only focusing on the moon's transit, which is the magic that I generally work with, but I also have to take everything else into consideration. That's not the only thing. That's not the only astrological energy we're receiving. There's so much else going on up in the heavens. Chiron and Aries, the way I am seeing this is, again, this can be interpreted so many different ways, and it's going to change, but for really the gist of what I'm seeing here is Chiron, the wounded healer, also associated with lots of other things, but just to put this down into a nutshell here, Aries is the sign of self. And I'm seeing this as a lot of people are really taking it upon themselves to heal themselves, understand that we have the power to heal ourselves from pretty much everything. I'm not going to say everything, but a lot of things we can actually heal ourselves from through the power of detoxification and nurturing ourselves and giving ourselves proper nutrition, and also working with, those celestial bodies and prayer and all those things. That Chiron and Aries energy, that's what I'm seeing occur here. So, all right, now let's see here with that moon in Aquarius. For those of you who haven't seen my videos before, I really like to work with gemstones that resonate well with the sign that the moon is transiting through. I'm very, 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 very moon dominant, I could say, because I've got a lot of that Cancerian energy, which is ruled by the moon, and that 4th house. I've got a busy 4th house, whether you're using Placidus or whole sign. I've still got a busy 4th house, which is really the house that is associated with the moon, in short. So I'm very tapped into the moon. I love the moon, and I understand the powers that we experience from the moon and that sort of thing. So I really like to take these moon rituals seriously, and I'm going to kind of reiterate what I was saying earlier. I am not somebody who's out there worshiping the moon, and there's different ways you can interpret this, but I just understand that those lights in the sky really do influence us in a very significant way from the first breath we take here on earth until the last breath we take. And to understand that I can work with them. It's not necessarily, giving them thinking that they have more power than me. There's also, we have human free will, and to connect my human free will with those energies and work towards my highest soul purpose, understand the challenges that are coming up and connect them with the beneficial aspects that are being made between my natal chart and the heavenly energies, working with them. So I just wanted to put that out there because I get that question a lot. Now, for my moon rituals, again, I'm not out there necessarily worshiping the moon. I am more giving that power to myself and connecting with myself. And that's where these gemstones come in as such a powerful tool. So the dedicated zodiacal birthstone for Aquarius is amethyst. And I've got a piece of amethyst here. This is one of my favorite pieces because a friend of mine actually harvested this from Earth himself and sent it to me as a gift. He sent me a couple of them, but this is one of my favorites right here. But amethyst, there's so many, even this, like I said, this is just straight out of Earth, and that's what it seems so special to me. But then we've also got some pieces here that are cut in different ways. This one's kind of special. This is called a Vogel crystal, which is really good for all kinds of magic. But let's see. And then it just kind of depends on what your intentions are, what sort of form of amethyst you want to work with. And there's lots of little different books. You can just leave a comment in the comment section, or question in the comment section if you want to ask me about that more specifically on which type of amethyst to work with. In fact, they all are going to resonate well with that sign of Aquarius. There's so many different styles of amethyst. There's a smoky amethyst. There's so many different little pieces of different kinds of amethyst, but they all work very, very well with that Aquarius energy. Now, something else I feel is very important to mention here is that sign of Aquarius, I think I mentioned earlier, it's like highly electrical. When, say, for example, when somebody is born with their moon in Aquarius, these people have a strong tendency to really enjoy working with technology, working with computers, working with devices, because they've got that genius energy and it's highly intellectual, which is fantastic. However, these people also are going to be a little more sensitive to the radiation coming off of our devices and that sort of thing. And when the moon transits through the sign of Aquarius, we are also, especially in a full moon, we're going to be more susceptible to things like EMF and just radiation coming off of our devices, or 5G towers and that sort of thing. So that's something to really keep in mind. In fact, if you're somebody who's got a ton of Aquarius in your natal chart, you might want to be very careful to keep yourself protected from devices for this full moon transit. You might even be sensitive enough to feel it, to almost feel like a little surge running through your body and that sort of thing. So I'm going to also share a couple of my favorite stones for keeping ourselves protected from our devices. And so this right here is a piece of shungite. I really like to put this in my water. It's been proven that this will actually just protect ourselves from the radiation coming off of our devices. And this one right here, this is called black kyanite, and this is one of my favorites as well for protecting myself. I've also, any really dark colored stone, for the most part, is going to help to keep you protected from this sort of thing. This is my black tourmaline that I show in all my videos, because this is my all-time favorite right here. I've also got a piece, and I know the camera doesn't pick this up, but this is a piece of dark green tourmaline. It's also very, very protective. But any of the darker stones are going to help keep you protected. This right here, this is another something else here. This is called aragonite, which is, it's man-made, and it's just got a bunch of little pieces of different things that will help protect our bodies from these devices and that sort of thing. But really, the best way to keep yourself protected, especially for this kind of transit, is to just stay away from our devices. In fact, I think that's going to be my goal for this full moon, is to just not turn on any of my devices, my computer. You know, I'm somebody who loves to learn by either listening to lectures or, you know, watching people's podcasts and that sort of thing with, you know, information about astrology or whatever. I think for this full moon, I'm just going to step away from that stuff and try and spend as much time touching earth as much as possible. For any of my moon rituals, I make sure to go outside for at least 10 minutes, having my feet touching earth. And that's another thing that's scientifically proven, that our blood, all the little cells in our blood, everything starts to flow a lot more naturally and with a lot more ease and grace when we've been touching earth for a certain amount of time. 10 minutes is minimum. I mean, really, ideally, we should be touching earth for at least an hour a day with some part of the, you know, your bare skin. And preferably, I really do, I feel strong, I feel confident in saying that it's best to have your feet touching earth, because that's what's natural. So let's see here. Anything else I want to throw out there? Yes, Aquarius, of course, the body parts. Aquarius rules like the lower part of the legs, the ankles, the shins, even like the Achilles tendon, that sort of thing. So it's also a really good idea to pay a little extra attention to the parts of our body that are ruled by the sign the moon is transiting through. So whether you just want to give yourself a good, you know, massage down there, Aquarius energy is also really rules our circulation. You know, a good massage for circulation, that sort of thing, is be a really good idea for this full moon. It also has an effect on certain parts of our veins, but even our nervous system. Like I was talking about, this is an electrical energy. That's more than anything, just, I'm going to reiterate it again. It's a really good idea to make sure we stay grounded, especially for this kind of full moon. So, okay, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. If you would like to schedule an astrology reading, you can reach me through my website, which is erinwageastrology.com, or just send me an email at erinwageastrology@gmail.com. I offer several different types of readings. That's why it's probably best to just go look at my website and get an idea as to what you might be interested in receiving. But anyway, until next time, guys, namaste to all of you.